welcome Leslie today. Leslie Herndon is our speaker for today. She is the Vice President of Operations at Greenscape, a landscaping and horticulture company. Leslie has several certifications, including a bachelor's degree in Landscape Horticulture from North Carolina State University. She likes to travel. She teaches fitness classes, which is awesome. Of course, she likes her flowers. So thank you very much, Leslie, for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad to have you. And one small change, and I don't know if everybody really has talked about it much, but I actually am now president of the company.
Okay, awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, so changed it. So just I wouldn't talk about it except in terms of our discussion today. It probably means something. So
right. That's great. All right. So I will go ahead and ask the first question. And once again, if you have any questions in between, just go ahead, unmute yourself and ask that. So Leslie, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about how you got started in your career and why you chose that career.
Sure. So I would say that I had some really influential teachers and earlier on, and then my mother also is big into gardening. So I actually was got interested in horticulture kind of end of middle school and the early high school. Went to North Mecklenburg outside of Charlotte, where they had a pretty good FFA program at the time. Joined that and started working in garden centers in high school. I worked for a garden center part-time, summers, weekends, whatever. Then went to NC State, actually went in the horticulture program. And I worked for wholesale garden centers, retail garden center, interned for landscape companies all through my college career. And then again, my mother is pretty into gardening herself. She actually texted me yesterday and told me she had to move all 70 of her flower pots out of the way so the roof painters could come to the house today, if that tells you anything. So
that's a lot of work.
70. She did not miscount, and that is not the wrong number. She sent me the video to prove it. So probably a natural thing. And actually the funniest part is when I graduated from NC State, I actually graduated in December of 2001. And then I started Greenscape January 2nd, 2002. And I've been there ever since. But on January 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it snowed like 12 inches, 14 inches that January. And I spent 3 days shoveling snow and getting up at like 2 a.m. in the morning and working, really long days. And I thought, I'm just really not sure about this. But 18 years later, I've done a lot of snow since then. And I'm still here. So that's kind of the brief synopsis story.
That's awesome. So what do you think are the biggest misperceptions that people have about working in your industry?
I think just in general, the perception of what it is, we do a lot of commercial maintenance work, commercial installation work. We used to do a lot more residential. And so it's just the pace at which that moves, and that the biggest thing I've learned as I've gone through my career is it's not just the horticulture side, right? It's the people side. And the people side is so critical to your ability and understanding how business works, as well as knowing the horticulture side to getting where you need to go and advancing your career throughout the industry.
So what does a typical day for you look like?
I'm not sure I have one of those anymore. I'm sure Justin feels the same way.
I'm sure he does.
I would say for me, no day anymore is typical. Most of my job now is leading people and helping make decisions, or helping people make decisions for their departments. So I lead our branch manager team, as well as our corporate accounting and HR teams. And today I'm training a new administrative person, and then also helping make some decisions on, some other P&L things or accounting things, working in our software system. I help keep that up to date and moving, as well as, talking to people about customer concerns and things like that we need to do. Literally before I hit go on the Zoom call, I had a branch manager who just called me and wanted to talk about a client meeting he just had and how that went. And so these days, there definitely is not a typical day. I had a lot more routine to my day when I was at the levels of like foreman, project manager, account manager. Now, there's not a day that's the same. A lot of meetings.
So when you started your career, what did your typical day look like back then?
Yeah. So I started at Greenscape as a floriculture foreman.
Okay.
now called technician, but floriculture foreman back in the day. And, the day was very, very structured then. I mean, you had a set number of sites you were going to visit that day.
Mhm.
You were there making sure the flowers look good, doing any kind of maintenance that's required, any kind of watering, insect disease control, pruning, weeding, chemical applications, whatever you needed, to make sure that the flower beds look their best. And so that's kind of what my day-to-day looked like back then. And that's what my floriculture technician's day-to-day still looks like today, and what they do.
Awesome. Do you think that there are any challenges for women in your industry?
I think there are, but there definitely are totally overcomeable, and some of them in our own heads sometimes.
Mhm.
I've been very fortunate to work for owners who are very open and understanding and very growth focused. And that's really key, is to work for good people. I think that's one of the biggest things is in the industry, as any employee in the industry will tell you, is to work for good people, right? That's the most critical decision you're going to make in your career, is who you work for. Making sure that you like what they stand for and what their values and principles are and what the culture of the company is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really critical moment. And then it's just, I think for me, it's just working hard, get it done. I just look at myself not as needing to work any harder than they do, but equal to. I can't expect equal treatment without giving equal treatment. And so I really firmly believe that. And that's really, I think, what has made me be successful over the years, is that I was always going to work hard and get the job done. And I held myself to pretty high standards, and I still hold other people to high standards today. And that can sometimes be challenging, but we work through it.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, I'm also the person who just never said no to opportunity.
Okay.
So, if an opportunity came about, I've been very, and Justin will probably laugh about this, I've been very unlikely to say no to it. That's how I ended up on the board of directors for NCNLA right now. This just didn't say no. And I just went, all right, well, I guess I'll figure out how to add that into my day. But I think that's key, is even if you don't know how to do the job, it's like, accept the challenge and figure out how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
At one point I was a floriculture foreman. They had an account manager quit, and they're like, here, you want his accounts? And I'm like, all right, let me go figure out how to be account manager now, and now I got to go figure out how to run crews that run mowers all day long and do other types of work and pruning and deal with customers. And then our safety officer we had a safety officer position come open, and you want to do that too? Okay. All right. I'll do that too. So I learned how to deal with safety. And I think all those things have helped me be able to be more multifaceted as I have advanced. And so when you get to this level now in my career, where you kind of have to know a little bit about everything, and definitely a lot of people, you've had a lot more experience to get you there. And the trick to that was just to say yes, like, all right, I'll figure out how to do that. At least when it comes to challenges at work, say yes to the challenge, figure out how to do it, work hard, and you will be successful. And that doesn't matter if you're male or female or whatever. General rule of life, I think, and especially in this industry.
So a couple of the girls that are online would be interested in doing something like you are doing, and if they wanted to enter that occupation, what do you think are critical skills that they should possess?
I definitely think critical skills are, your basic horticulture knowledge, definitely. I mean, the things that you guys learn in class every day is super important. The things that your instructors are teaching you, become as well-rounded as you can. It depends on where you want to go long-term with your career. If you really want to focus and specialize, then focus and specialize. But just know that is sometimes going to be a little bit of a limiting self-factor over the long term. Be willing to accept new challenges and try new things. For me, it was, focused on getting good at the horticulture part of my job first, but then I had to really focus on the people side and the business side. To get where I am today, I have to make decisions about money and budgets and people and employment and recruiting and, profit and loss statements, as well as, hey, we have hibiscus dropping leaves at Cameron Village. And I was out there last week going, why I got these hibiscus dropping leaves at Cameron Village, to planting living walls, to, doing all those things. It's just really a matter of, can you get your basics down, but then be willing to continue to grow those skills. And a lot of what I did, wasn't handed to me. I would go go read books, go to different classes. I would go to different trade shows. In college, I was on back then it was ALCA. Today it's in ALP teams. I got my plant professional really early on. Got my certifications through them. And, while these days, those are just really good backbones for helping me move forward over the years and gave me that good firm foundation. But I think, as you grow, as you move through your career, you really want to start focusing on the people and the business side of it too, depending on where you want to go. And that doesn't matter if you own your own business or you work for somebody else. If you own your own business, you want to start that a lot sooner because those are really critical skills too.
Very good. Do we have any questions yet? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
What do you think is the hardest part of your job?
Ooh, the hardest part of my job. You know what? It's making really hard decisions that not everybody's going to love, but are for the best for the direction of the company. And you got to be firm in those decisions and really think through them really hard and think about, benefit, consequence. Where does this get us where we're going? Does this fit the big picture? How am I going to explain this to these people who actually aren't going to love this decision? How do I get them bought into this decision? How do I explain this to where they understand this decision? I'd say that's one of the hardest parts of my job these days. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, any other question at this moment? All right, in this case, I will just keep on going with questions. Okay, what advice would you give to a young woman thinking about entering this occupation?
My advice is, study hard. First of all, at school, build that base, build your basic skill sets, and journey out into areas that aren't, back in the day, it was very historically female in certain roles in the industry and very unhistorically female in other roles. Get a good broad base, get both of those sides, know how to run retail sales in a garden center and then know how to fix irrigation in the middle of a gigantic hole, in the middle of a soccer field. Get a good broad foundation because it will give you a lot more options. And I think that having options is just really critical to you. I've ended up staying at the same company for a long time, but that's very, very, very unusual. But that's only because I had options to accelerate my career throughout the company. If I hadn't had that, I probably would not have stayed for as long as I have, because I had a very specific direction I wanted to go, and I was pretty driven to get there. But I think, getting those skill sets in place is really key. And then opening yourself up to making sure you have lots of good networking relationships. Super key. There's a reason I'm on this call right now, and his name is Justin Snyder, right? I'm on this call is because Justin and I went to college together, and have kept in touch over the years and, served on teams together and did overseas travel trips with our horticulture department as he stayed together. And then, now serve on the board of directors from CLA together. And those things are all happening and both people in the industry. So we use each other as networking referrals and helpful moments. I think that's a really key thing. And again, I've been out of college, since 2001, quite a while, but that networking connection has held strong for 20 years, 18 years. And really has helped me, hopefully helped Justin. But the same thing I could say applied to a lot of people in the industry. The horticulture industry, especially in North Carolina, is a big industry, but it's also very small in a lot of other ways. Everybody kind of knows everybody, or has a connection somehow. Might be 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but it's it's all connected somehow. And so knowing that and maintaining good relationships with as many people as you can, and being careful not to burn any bridges as you go. And I think being willing and open to try new things is also really important, and helps people say that you're willing to go that extra mile. And again, that's not a female or male thing. That's an all employees thing in this industry. Right. That really means a lot to people, because when you're willing to go, I'll get that, I'll handle that, I'll take that project on, let me figure that out for you, I'll take that. That's how you move forward. It's not waiting. Okay, well, they haven't given me anything new to do today. I didn't get here today because I waited for somebody to give me more things to do. You know, I got here today because I asked for things to do. I took for things off people. I grew my skill set, and I myself was responsible for my own growth and development. I didn't wait for anybody to give it to me. I didn't depend on anybody else to give it to me. I said, no, this is where I want to go. I'm going to do the things that I know I have to get there. And I think that's super, super key. You cannot wait on someone else to grow your career for you.
Right.
You have to go do it. And if you do wait on somebody else, it's going to be a very long journey, and you're probably not going to get there. But for me, I see that sometimes happening is people just are waiting for, well, they didn't tell me to do that, or I didn't know I was supposed to do that, or this didn't happen. Well, go figure out how you can get there, you know, because those are the skill sets that we as employers are looking for. Is your ability to go face that challenge, tackle that new project, pitch in and help out. Those are the things that we are really looking for when we are looking to elevate people to leadership roles in a company.
That's a very good point, and we try to teach our students that same thing. Like, you are still responsible for your education, for your career. You can ask for help and people will support you along the way, but you still have to walk the path yourself. Nobody's going to do that for you. So that's a very good point.
Yeah. And I think this industry is really good about helping out, and people are more than willing to give it to you, but you got to know kind of what you want and where and get them to help you get there.
Right. Do you think there are any barriers to female leadership?
I got to be honest, no.
Okay.
I got to be honest that I feel like, I mean, again, maybe I'm limited, maybe it's because of who I work for, but I feel like it's up to us to make the right decisions. And by making those right decisions, those barriers just don't exist. That's kind of goes back to kind of what I said at the beginning. I made a really good decision on who to work for. And because I made that really good decision, no. I will tell you too, I'm probably not the most sensitive human person in the entire world. So I'm very used to working in an atmosphere with all men. We have some women who work for us, most of them on the administrative side, but I do have several women, female crew members, female irrigation technician, a female floriculturist, and a couple other here and there. But, you know, I'm very used to, it's been 18 years of working in an environment where it is very male dominated, and I have learned to hold my own without coming, you know, and it takes a lot of skill and personal development, relating to people as a leader versus a peer. That's been a big struggle for me, because your skill sets have to change. You know, you have to develop your skill sets differently and develop more empathy and understanding and all the things that kind of come along with leadership, which is always a new challenge. But, you know, I just think that it's really critical to make that, like, again, if you're in a company where like they don't appreciate your leadership, now make sure, again, it's that they don't appreciate your leadership versus you have an opinion they just didn't agree with at the time and they went a different direction. Those are two different things. You know, I've had plenty of instances where I've had an opinion about something and Daniel's gone another direction. That's not because I'm a female, it's because he didn't agree with my direction. And I think sometimes, like, and I've seen women do this and self-sabotage sometimes. They'll do that and they'll like, well, it's because I'm a woman, they didn't listen to me. No, your idea just wasn't the one that we need to go with today. I don't let myself self-sabotage and self-talk myself down. And I think that's probably why I answered the way I did when you said, oh, there are barriers, because, you know, I'm in a position where, you know, I lead the company and it is all male. You know, I'll be the president of NCLA next year. And I think I'll be in the history of it, only the second or third female president we've ever had. And so for me, I'm like, no, but I've also been very strategic and very directed on how I do it. Now I will tell you too, that, you know, I made some personal sacrifices along the way to make sure I could grow my career to get where there is, but I did those of my own self-willingness and my own decisions, and that's nobody but me. And so I don't consider them sacrifices really, other than they were just decisions I made. So I don't know if that helps answer your question at all, but I'm very big on personal choice. And so I believe really firmly in that I've made the personal choices to make decisions that have moved around those barriers or avoided them. I don't know if that helps at all.
Very good. Any questions, anybody?
Do you guys like, what's your favorite part of the job?
Oh, my favorite part of the job, the flowers still. Love it. I love actually dealing with people too. You like doing flowers too?
Yeah, I like growing some flowers. I'm actually named after a flower.
I know. See, that's awesome, P.S. My parents should name me after a flower. That would have been much more appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the flowers. You know, I still actually plant Cameron Village and lead the crew out there 18 years later. I do still plant our living walls too. I still design them, plant them, and then supervise their installation, supervise the maintenance on them. And I think that's, for me, been really critical. And I'm glad you asked that question, because as my career has advanced, I have gotten in a position where it's like, it's about people and leadership and more financial things and business things. But I've made sure to keep my fingers enough in the thing that kept me passionate about the industry in the beginning, that helps keep me invigorated within the industry. So I love, I got in this industry because I like plants. It'd be very easy in my job today to like never have anything to do with plants again, and just do the other stuff. But I've made really conscious decisions to still go plant Cameron Village, still go do site walks on sites, and to still go plant those living walls, because I love that part of it. And I want to keep that connection. And I think when you keep that connection back to like that part of it, it helps you make better decisions, with the guys who are actually out doing the work, and better decisions for customers, all those kinds of things that help a lot. So I'm glad you asked that question. Good question. So, and I do have 40 flower pots in my own house. We'll just say
wow.
that.
That's how
Mom's got me beat though. 70s. I don't think we're getting a 70 in my house.
Oh wow. I love flowers, but I cannot keep them alive. I'm just so bad with flowers, unfortunately. I always think they need a lot of water and a lot of time. So yeah,
See, everybody on this call now has a summer project. Is give Edifina's flowers to grow at her house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love that. I try every now and then, but always die. I got a tomato plant from our horticulture department last year, and it did not make it. I kept moving it around. Maybe that was wrong too. Next time,
this is like, oh no.
Yeah, next time I have to ask you, Liz, to come and tell me what to do with it. So I just put it somewhere, it didn't work. Put it another place, didn't work. I just kept it. Then of course lots and lots of water. So
just didn't work out.
It did not work out for me. No, unfortunately not.
Totally understand.
Are there any women that inspire you?
I would say that one of my earliest horticulture instructors was a woman named Christy Thornton. She's retired now, but she was my horticulture teacher in high school. I would say that she probably is one of the most influential women as far as like in the industry that got me directed in the right place. She's the one who, got a greenhouse built in North Neck and got us all in there and got the class and inspired that more, I think, academic love of plants. There's several other, women in the industry who, lead nurseries or who run landscape companies who I look up to. Paige Moody, who runs Arbor Enterprises, just great woman in the industry, has really just led really strongly her entire career, owns her own business. Great female to look to. Joanne Dewar, who is the first generation of Fairview Greenhouses Garden Centers in Cary or Holly Springs, North Carolina. She still goes to the greenhouse every day. She's in her, Joanne's probably in her 80s now. Loves plants, but she and her late husband built that greenhouse back in, a long time ago in a time where that wasn't, women didn't lead those kinds of operations. And she's still there every day. And Joanne is still in charge. Her grandson, Brad, might be leading the company more these days, but Joanne's still in charge.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I'd say those are a couple of women just in the industry who I think who have been really good leaders who tackled that. And that's why I say, when it talks about barriers, I mean, think about, Joanne, she didn't see barriers either. She's like, nope, we're making this greenhouse. Have you ever met Joanne? She'll go right through that barrier. Like it wasn't even there. But yeah, so those are very really interesting people, I think, in the industry to kind of look to and look for, what could happen or what you can do and look for the future.
Great. What do you think about mentors? Did you have a mentor or did that help you? What do you think of that?
I would say like just throughout my careers, like different managers I've worked with have been, I don't say mentors, but very much like examples or coaches. I actually work even currently with a coach who helps me like every other week. And she's really helps me work through, understanding people more and helps me work on my skill sets today. I mean, you never stop learning, you never stop working on yourself and your skill sets. And she very heavily challenges me. So that's a really great thing that I do about every 2 weeks with her. And I would say that, like, you know, just my owners in general, I've worked with the Kern family for a long time, and Michael was a good mentor for me, and like how you run a business and how you treat customers and treat employees. So was, you know, he's pretty influential in my career over time. And then I would even say, just, you know, looking back as far as like running a business and some of the basics of how you make things successful, I really look back to my dad, and he runs his own small company. It's not any, it's the opposite end of the spectrum. It's really interesting though. He actually runs a sheet metal fabrication company in Charlotte, and my sister is pretty much taking it over from him. So neither one of his daughters ended up in very traditional careers. You know, she's sheet metal fabricating on a daily basis, and I'm running a landscape company.
Wow.
We both go to work dressed about the same. There's definitely flat shoes involved. I don't have to wear steel toes anymore. I think she does, but I would say, like, just how you run a business and how you take care of employees and those kinds of things. He was probably much more influential in me and what it takes to like run a smaller business, and, you know, the dedication and the attention to details and attention to decisions that you make. And, you know, that was pretty important for me growing up.
Awesome. I have one more question for you, and then I hope everyone else still has questions. So where do we find you on a Saturday morning?
Oh, I'm usually teaching aerobics on a Saturday morning.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your balance.
Yeah, that's that. So I have a part-time, it's not really a job. You have to really actually make money at it for it to be a job. But I do a second part-time thing. I've done it actually for almost a little over 10 years.
Wow.
I teach aerobics on the side. And that for me has been really, really, really valuable as I've moved up my career at Greenscape. I tell a lot of people if I didn't have this program in my life that I'd be a lot angrier, a lot more stressed out all the time. Two things, aerobics and unsweet tea is how I get through my day.
Okay.
Caffeine. But it's so good to find that thing. I have a really good support system of friends and family. And so usually Saturday mornings I am working out, teaching class, or going to class. I'm pretty good about my routine on that. And then, you know, Saturdays usually either just basic adulting life things, right? Or seeing friends, going places, doing stuff, whatever it takes. I'm an extrovert, so no surprise there, right?
That's awesome. Yeah,
Staying at home in April and May just almost made me go a little crazy. So no. Had to get out, had to see people.
Awesome. All right. Well, questions.
I have a question.
Go.
Lily, go for it.
What is your favorite kind of flower?
Ooh, got the hard questions today for me. Dang it. I'm not kidding. That is a hard one. Ugh. I would say right now I'm really into this plant called the shrimp plant.
Okay.
Yeah, red shrimp plant. I know, weird one. What can I say? Really love them. They're a tropical. They look like little shrimps, so I'm hanging on the tree.
Okay.
I got a lot of those. I have one of those in my house and a couple of those planted at Cameron Village. I'd say that's probably my favorite one. But basic flowers right now, it's not really a flower, but I would say coleus is a big favorite of mine. You so many different things with it.
I like
You like what?
I like moonflowers.
Those are pretty too.
Yeah.
My grandma has this huge fence around her house, and they always grow on that fence, and it's super pretty.
I know, they're cool, aren't they?
Yeah, we also have this huge shelf of like just plants.
Yeah.
It's right above my computer desk, all the way over there.
I see a little bit coming over there. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, grow lots of plants at your house, you know. If you want to be in the horticulture industry, you got to love plants, right? You got to have plants at your house. You got to have flower pots. You got to have moonvines on your fence. You got to have a vegetable garden.
We have a huge vegetable garden.
Yeah. That's super important.
Yeah.
You know, and you can learn so much about how plants grow from a vegetable garden. Oh, so helpful. So much about your life, and you get to eat it when you're done. Even better.
Right.
We actually just got our first watermelon today.
Nice. Was it sweet?
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yep. See, I know. Yeah, it's so cool about vegetables too, because you can learn like exactly what it takes to like get that vegetable sweeter or make it right, go through faster, or what it needs to be fertilized with, or what do those tomatoes need. That's a great place to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
My sister's growing 4 trees upstairs right now, actually.
Nice. In the house. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like something I would do too. So grow
It's
trees
those
in the house.
little mini bonsai trees.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when I was first out of college and I lived in an apartment. I think I had like 25 flower pots on my balcony, and I'm pretty sure I was very unpopular with people who lived below me. But because it would drip, right?
Right.
But you gotta have it. Actually, I'm not very funniest thing about me, I'm not very good at houseplants.
Okay.
Terrible. I have one outside my office right now, and the guys that I work with moved it out of my office because they said if they didn't, I was going to kill it.
Oh my God.
It's now outside, and they help me water it.
That sounds like me. I was just going to ask you, what
Plants I'm good.
plan to take care of? So.
Yeah, outside plants, bring it on. Inside plants, I'm out.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a single inside plant inside my house.
That's surprising.
But that's so. I mean, grow more plants. Learn more names by them. Learn how they work. That'll get you where you need to go too. But there's really good stuff in growing vegetable gardens. You grow any herbs?
Yeah, we grow a few herbs. We have this big tower that waters the plants for you.
Oh,
and you just have to plant the seeds in this little dirt thing it comes with.
Yep. A little hydroponic growth, maybe. That'd be
Yeah.
Cool.
Huh.
See the
It's
roots
kind of
hanging.
like. Yeah, but it's like a big tower, like a really tall tower with like this like huge thing of water.
Yep.
And it waters them daily.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I know. Now you don't see that's what you need, Bettina. Is something that'll water.
Yeah, I was just like, maybe I should get something like that, so it automatically waters, and I don't have to take care of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a question. So, if you could pick any other job, what would you pick?
Ooh. Any other job in the industry or just in general?
In general.
I probably would have ended up, I think I still would have ended up in something that like builds things or produces things. So it probably would have ended up in construction or probably, again, something very non-traditional, but in something like that, I would guess. Because I like to see things created. It's the creative part of me, right? So I like to see things like come together and build together and rise up. I think that's why like maintenance, even like you get that a little bit with like when you clean up that site every week, it's like, oh, it's like you get a finished product. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. So that's probably what I would have ended up in outside of plants, but it's hard to imagine now something else without plants in it. That was a long time. But good question.
That's a very good question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So Leslie, let me ask you one, if I can. See if I can ask a tough one here.
Oh dear, they already did. I don't know how you're gonna beat those.
I know I've got some big questions to live up to, but
no.
Thinking about, obviously, the last couple months, COVID has changed a lot of how we do business in everything. But for these young ladies, they're a few years out from, getting into their career. So if you can kind of look into your plant crystal ball, what do you think the industry is going to look like in, 3 or 4 years? Are there changes that the girls could be kind of thinking about now, whether it be automation, whether it be, just more adaptation to some of the things we've been going through recently? But, what do you see for the industry as a whole and even Greenscapes in the next few years?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely a good one. Good practicing, Justin. So I would say that I do feel like the labor situation for the entire landscape industry, horticulture industry at large, will greatly impact our future. The availability of people to do the work is already, a problem, to be perfectly blunt about it. We feel like that will be something in the future that is definitely more of a concern about, are there more automated products that will come on the market? products that make less noise, products that are more efficient, products that make the work go faster. If it's automated mowers, or if it's, automation on, driverless vehicles even. Because that's even a challenge for us sometimes, is getting people who have a clean enough driving record to drive for us. We have to drive vehicles down the road every day. And that's something actually, as you guys coming into your careers, is protect your driver's license. It is a big deal if you want to work in this industry. You need that thing. And it seems like such a small thing now, but believe me, there's a lot of people who've made some choices that mean they actually can't drive for me, which limits their earning potential. It's bad. I feel really bad for them. And in some cases, on your driver's license, it's 7 years before those bad things can disappear as far as the insurance companies are concerned. So being able to drive for me is a big deal, especially when we go in the landscape industry side of things. So that's definitely something. But I do feel like that, keeping things automated and making sure that you are staying on top of new technologies. I think water efficiency is going to be a bigger deal. Less emissions on equipment is going to be a bigger deal. New plants on the market, maybe plants that use less water, breeding, plants that need less pruning. That'll be something that we'll be looking to. We use a lot of growth regulators now to kind of slow down the needs for pruning. And reducing labor. I personally think that's the biggest thing that will impact change in the green industry is availability of people to do the work. It's definitely, but I think it's good in a way because it forces us to adapt to change faster. The interesting thing about COVID, right, is it kind of changed Greenscape holistically in that my accounting and HR teams, we moved them remotely, as well as our customer service team. Everybody who wasn't related to operations immediately worked from home in mid-March, started working from home in mid-March. They are still pretty much working from home, and probably will be until next year. But what we did is it actually moved us to where they actually are going to stay remote permanently. Now we do have an office in Cairn Village. They'll kind of maybe come in a day a week just to keep the connection of the team going, because we really feel really firmly that we can't have that team connection remote. We've seen that loss. People don't have interpersonal relationships as well when everything is remote. And that's a big thing actually for you all. It's take that time to have in-person relationships with people. It's not good enough just to see your friends on the screen, right? You got to see them in person. Same thing happens in business. But we figured out a way that moving forward where we can have them part remote, part in person. So even post-COVID, we actually won't go back to doing business the way that we did it, even as late as early March. So I think that'll be impactful. And the ability to, where technology pushes us really quickly, I think post-COVID will be really interesting. I think that'll be something we'll see. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. And just as a follow-up, again, we're obviously as an educational institution, we're trying to prepare students to go into these industries. What advice would you give someone that's, in middle school or high school to prepare them, from an academic standpoint or also extracurricular? I mean, what things would you recommend them to do to be ready to go in, for employment?
I think knowing really early on, if you can start to make some decisions about your career early on, or at least try a lot of things and help decide, that helps give you some more opportunities to be more specific in your extracurricular, which is always helpful. But really working with working on your people skills, which is joining clubs, being in different extracurricular activities is always good, no matter which club it is, because it's getting you working as teams, problem solving, those kinds of things are great. Getting to know, do what you guys are doing now, which is working through these types of programs is awesome because you are getting knowledge that your peers didn't get, You're there at home playing a video game and you guys are actually learning something that'll help you later on, which is great. And video games are good too, but this is, having a good mix of a lot of different things is important. And, like I said, getting outside, learning what it's like to garden, like Liliana just talked about, a lot of our work is outside, especially really early on in your career. So love being outside. If I could say anything to people, is that where we found people are most successful for Greenscape, they don't have to have come from the landscape industry necessarily, but they have to know what it's like to work outside. Today it's 95, 97 degrees outside. My guys are mowing grass, They are planting trees. They are digging irrigation holes to Timbuktu out at one of our properties to fix a main line. I mean, they are out like working in it. And so go out and garden, you know, learn what it's like to work outside and make sure that's what you like to do. Yes. And we found that a lot of people really, really love it. And people actually come back to us because they're like, God, I'm so tired of sitting at a desk all day long. You know, so I'm like, I mean, it's great, but you got to be able to prepare to work in all weather. And our guys don't mind it. They much prefer being outside than being inside. Even if it's 97 degrees or, you know, 10 degrees, they'd rather do that than be inside. And so I think, you know, grow plants, you know, have a flower pot on your back deck that you're in charge of, go with your parents to the garden center, you know, grow a vegetable garden, have one that's yours, experiment. I'm going to try this row with this kind of fertilizer. I'm going to try this row with this, and play with it, you know, have fun, you know, do experiments, grow hydroponically like Lily's doing with her tower. Go on field trips, go with your parents to the farmer's market, to the garden center, you know, to that roadside stand, you know, learn about just anything you can see that exposes you to plants is always something that will help you with your career. And, you know, like in our industry, it's, you know, there's a lot of things to do with people. So work on your people skills, you know. And we do need to use things like math and English and all those things I do still use. So you do need to build those basic building block skills too. So, you know, you got to be able to write letters to customers and compose emails that are grammar specific, and use math to determine how much to charge a customer or how much labor you have to put in that plant, so you charge a fair price. All skill sets that you're going to need later on.
Do you work a lot outside with the plants, or do you do more work on the business side of things? And the second question is, have you ever worked with animals or just with plants?
Good questions. So my job now is a lot more two things: people and then on the business, working on the business. So I spent a lot more time in front of this computer screen than I ever did earlier on. But early on in my career, I was almost 100% outside. And again, I have plenty of guys who are still outside today. That's what they've chosen. You know, my branch managers are still outside. You know, they're doing site walks. They might be helping guys prune something today. Tomorrow they might be pitching in and they might be working on the business side tomorrow. It's only in the very, very latter parts of my career that I've been a lot more focused on the inside. And that's honestly a bad thing. I enjoy doing this part of it too. And as I've grown and gotten older and changed what I like to do, this feeds a different part of what I like to do every day. But yeah, earlier on, I was, like I said in the beginning of my snow story, I shoveled snow for 3 days. Then I got back to the plants. It was all good again. As far as the animal thing, I have not. My FFA program in high school was really focused on the horticulture side. It was in Mecklenburg County, not exactly, even though we were in the northern end of the county where it was a little bit more rural, it wasn't really much on the animal end. You had to kind of cross into Iredell County, Lincoln County to get more into the animal side of things on the FFA program. So mine was pretty much, like I said, my dad runs a sheet metal fabrication company. So no animals at our house, well, outside of pets, no animals at our house, but I have a lot of friends who went that direction. A lot of them who work either in dairy or poultry or extension or anything like that. And so I've had a good mix of different things. I actually have a friend of ours right now who actually just got named, I think she's the head of the Lake Wheeler Research Lab for NC State. And I think she does a little bit of everything now, right? Some of it's plants, some of it's growing corn, some of it's horticulture, some of it's cows and chickens out there. I think she has a little bit of everything now. So there's lots of opportunities out there to kind of get even a combined career together. Just gotta look for the right moment in time and say yes.
That's awesome. All right, any other questions? Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I'll be very respectful of your time, Leslie. Thank you so much for joining us today and talking a little more about your pathway and how you got to where you are today. So yes, thank you so much for joining us and letting us, sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
Really, really insightful and very inspirational. So
thank you all for the opportunity. I love that you guys are in the program and doing something extra with your July Monday. I think that's awesome and shows that you guys are on the right path. And looking for all the right opportunities to say yes to things, right?
Right.
Grow your careers, grow the fun part of it too. Go places with some plants today and be outside. It's the best part about it. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Leslie. Thank you for your time.
Definitely. Thank y'all. Have a good rest of your Monday.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. See y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Everyone have a good day.
You too.